Serving at Sea, a WWAY special report brought to you by The Kitchen Man.
It is Navy Week in Wilmington, and we are diving deeper into our Serving at Sea series to learn more about the men and women who work to protect our country and its assets.
WWAY's Matt Bennett got to tour a submarine in Norfolk, Virginia and meet with the crew to hear their stories.
Naval Station Norfolk. It's the headquarters of the U.S. Navy's Fleet Forces Command, and it's the largest naval base in the world. Captain Dave Hecht says Fleet Forces' main mission is to make sure the Navy is ready for action at all times.
For all of the ships, the submarines, the aircraft carriers, the squadrons, our job is primarily to make sure that they are properly manned, properly trained, and properly equipped.
Captain Hecht invited me and other reporters from across the country to participate in a program called Sailor for a Day, giving us an inside look at life in the Navy.
The American public doesn't have access to come on bases and see all this amazing stuff and the amazing people behind it. That's why we do this program.
Before I could start experiencing life as a sailor, I first had to look the part. I got fitted for my flame retardant uniform and got my first assignment at the Submarine Learning Center.
Your job over here is you're actually controlling the stern planes.
This is a submarine simulator. The replicated controls and hydraulics give sailors a virtual experience of what it's like to pilot a real Los Angeles-class submarine before actually going under.
Push your columns all the way down as far as they can go, and then what we're going to achieve here is we're going to try to achieve a 20-degree down.
Lieutenant Commander Jerry Tuck, a sailor from Boiling Spring Lakes, helps facilitate the training sessions. He says sometimes resources can be limited.
With 16 submarine commands here, we only have 2 trainers for submerged operation, only 1 for surfaced operation. So ensuring that those priorities are met takes a lot of coordination.
Next, we got to tour one of those submarine commands, the USS New Hampshire. Jason Cuevas from Garner, North Carolina, is a sonar technician aboard the nuclear-powered attack sub.
Deployments are about 6 months. There's times in between where you will pull into ports to resupply and things like that. I think the most I've been underwater for is about 90 days.
Cuevas says crew members rely on one another to keep their sanity during those long stretches at sea. That includes Junior Officer Hannah Sedetal, a University of South Carolina graduate and one of just 6 women on board one of the Navy's silent protectors.
With the different highlights of what the world's going through right now, what we do is employ like we are ready at all times for anything that comes to us. So being able to train, getting ready for what's to come in the future is at the utmost importance of the Navy.
On base in Norfolk, Virginia, Matt Bennett, WWAY News.
Very impressive. And don't forget to join us for the next installment of Matt's Serving at Sea series that's coming up tomorrow on WWAY News at 6. Fascinating.
This is just so cool. I'm so glad he got to do this, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Ready at all times. It's really nice as taxpayers, as U.S. Americans, we get to see this inside look. So this is great.
And Hannah, you go, girl.
Yes.
Serving at Sea, a WWAY special report brought to you by The Kitchen Man.
It is Navy Week in Wilmington, and we're diving deeper into our Serving at Sea series.
Today, WWAY's Matt Bennett takes us for a ride on a futuristic Navy vehicle not many people know about, and he gets some hands-on shooting experience.
After experiencing life on a submarine, my next assignment as a U.S. Navy sailor was to visit the Navy Expeditionary Unit. The specialized group takes on missions like amphibious assaults using vehicles like this. This is a Navy LCAC. It stands for Landing Craft Air Cushion, and it's a hovercraft used to transport Marines and their equipment from the ship to the shore.
We hover right above the water. There's a little bit of air pocket about that big on the water. When the seas are rough, we can plan to go out at about 6.9 significant wave height.
LCAC navigator Andrew Jacobson says each unit deploys every 2 to 3 years. According to the Navy, the hovercraft takes the coastline from being 17% landable to 70% and can carry 100,000 pounds of equipment.
We have a max weight of 389,984 pounds, and we've definitely came close to that on deployment, taking LAVs, JLTVs, and Hummers.
Learning how to pilot such a specialized vehicle is no easy task. Extensive training is required before navigators like Jacobson can ever get behind the real controls.
They have a full mission trainer, which is basically an LCAC in a box. So you have full screens, and then you're in a simulator for about 3 months, and then you start live missions.
LCAC crews aren't the only ones in the expeditionary unit to replicate hands-on experience with advanced tech. The Maritime Expeditionary Security Group uses several simulators to prepare for combat. The first puts crew members in a sentry boat surrounded by screens where they use modified machine guns to take out virtual threats.
Classroom experience is not enough. Even with the small arms, every time before you actually go out there to shoot a real arm, a real ammunition, a real live rounds, you want to get the feel of the weapon you are going to use.
Another simulator challenges sailors to take out moving targets with both handguns and assault rifles. The Navy says it's this kind of advanced training that makes the expeditionary unit so versatile.
It's just a smaller, more personable approach to our real world scenarios. If a new ship is pulling into a foreign port, our guys are on the front lines, making sure that this high value asset is out there, is being protected.
In Norfolk, Virginia, Matt Bennett, WWAY News.
Wow, and don't forget to join us for the next installment of Matt's Serving at Sea series, where he ventures out to an aircraft carrier. That's coming up tomorrow on WWAY News at 6.
Serving at Sea, a WWAY special report, brought to you by The Kitchen Man.
It is Navy Week in Wilmington, and we are kicking it into high gear in our Serving at Sea series.
Today, WWAY's Matt Bennett lands on the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower for a real-life Top Gun experience.
It's a journey few get to experience, a voyage to the middle of the Atlantic Ocean to board a vessel nearly as long as the Empire State Building is tall. After we graduated our initial sailor training, Captain Dave Hecht sent our group on a C-2 cargo plane bound for an aircraft carrier, the centerpiece of America's well-rounded naval forces.
Our mission is to be on the sea, under the sea, on the land, and in the air. We do a little bit of everything.
We successfully landed on the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower when our plane's tailhook caught one of the ship's arresting wires. This system slows the aircraft from 150 miles per hour to a dead stop in just 2 seconds. Once we unloaded, it was time to meet the commanding officer.
The aircraft carrier plays the forward presence role. We always have 2 to 3 aircraft carriers at sea at all times in different parts of the world. And the job of the aircraft carrier is to launch and recover aircraft to basically beat bad guys.
Captain Christopher Hill assumed command of the Ike in late March, but he's already made his mark on the ship and its crew.
It's a tremendous responsibility. I'm talking about you're responsible directly day to day for 3,000 sailors who run this ship. And then when you deploy, you bring on 2,000 more sailors. So that responsibility now extends to 5,000 sailors. And this is like a mini city or a small town.
Then came the moment we were all waiting for. We strapped on eye, head, and ear protection and stepped out onto the flight deck to watch jets take off from and land on the massive ship.
This is the pilot house. That is where the captain and the watch crew keep watch of everything here on the flight deck. This is where they launch the jets and then they are recovered by the arresting gear. They can launch these jets every 30 to 40 seconds, and this ship, the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, can hold around 70 total.
As we were learning what it takes to become a U.S. Navy pilot, we found out some of those pilots were learning too.
Some of them are what they call Cat 1 pilots. So first time learning how to land and take off from the aircraft carrier. And they will graduate from the Fleet Replacement Squadron and head out for their first operational tours.
Captain Hill says although many of the Ike's thousands of sailors are not directly involved in launching aircraft, everyone plays a part in the Navy's overall mission.
This ship is 46 years old. It has deployed more than any other ship that's active in the Navy right now. I could talk about all the awards and accolades, but at the end of the day, every sailor has to believe that they are the best, and we instill that in them.
On board the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, Matt Bennett, WWAY News.
So impressive. Tomorrow on our Serving at Sea series, Matt will introduce us to some native North Carolinians who call the Ike home, including a sailor from Wilmington who shares his story of overcoming adversity.
Serving at Sea, a WWAY special report. Brought to you by The Kitchen Man.
Navy Week continues in Wilmington, and so does our Serving at Sea series here on WWAY.
After bringing us along to an aircraft carrier yesterday, WWAY's Matt Bennett introduces us to some sailors from North Carolina.
It's the best damn ship in the Navy because we say it is.
From the chief officer's lips to the sailor's ears, USS Dwight D. Eisenhower Captain Christopher Hill speaks highly of his crew.
We have 20 departments on this ship, and all of those heads of departments are experts in their fields. We actually do a lot of operations off the coast of North Carolina. There's a lot of facilities there that support the military.
Not only do North Carolina facilities support the military, many of its residents do too. Several sailors on the Ike hail from the Tar Heel State and even the Cape Fear specifically.
My older brother and sister were also in the Navy prior to me, and they showed me a path that wasn't available to me from my hometown in Wilmington.
Lead Petty Officer Adam Peterson joined the Navy 18 years ago and handles material control in the Aircraft Intermediate Maintenance Department. He says his journey from Wilmington to the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower began during a troubled time in his life.
There was a school called Lakeside at one time, South Familiar. It was an alternative school for unique students who needed a little more guidance. So that's where I went and finished out the rest of my years in high school.
Peterson credits his teachers for pushing him to see his potential. He says he only wishes he could have brought more of his friends along with him.
You know, we go back and we see, or lack of seeing them due to incarceration or this, that, and the third. And when I speak to these individuals, they speak about, you know, our childhood and things they could have did differently, and they see what path I was on. And, you know, it's like, hey, I wish I would have joined with you. I knew I should have did this and the third. And, you know, they commend me, you know, now that we're all older adults.
Up in the pilot house, where the captain keeps watch, you'll find a different kind of North Carolina success story in Quartermaster Seaman Latasia Lewis.
Our job is to make sure that we're safely navigating the ship. That's really the big thing. We're keeping our position and making sure our position is where it's supposed to be, so we compare the different GPSs we use.
Lewis making her decision to join the Navy after graduating from an early college high school in Kinston.
I really just want to do something bigger than myself, because I was like, okay, I do want to finish college, but at the time I was just like, traveling sounds so much fun, like being able to serve my country like that, I was just so excited by that. So when I actually got in and then I went through boot camp and I made it through, I was like, oh my goodness, like it made me realize that I was a lot more capable of things than what I thought I was.
Captain Hill says it's sailors like these who make the Ike one of the most formidable ships on the water.
We expect every warrior leader on this ship to love and value every sailor on this ship, to give each one of them mission and purpose, and to create a winning environment so everyone feels like they're part of something greater than themselves. That's how you get morale. That's how you maintain your status as the best damn ship in the Navy.
On board the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, Matt Bennett, WWAY News.
These just keep getting better, and the final installment in our Serving at Sea series will be tomorrow at 6, when Matt introduces us to some unsung heroes in the Navy, showing us positions you might not know exist and explaining why they are so crucial. This has just been fascinating.
Well, both of those individuals so inspiring.
Yes, incredible.
Serving at Sea, a WWAY special report. Brought to you by The Kitchen Man.
Although Wilmington Navy Week continues through Sunday, our Serving at Sea series is coming to an end today.
For the final chapter in our 5-part series, WWAY's Matt Bennett introduces us to some lesser-known sailors who serve important roles.
Over the past week, I've introduced you to ship captains, hovercraft pilots, submarine technicians, and many more people who serve the United States Navy in its mission of protecting the public. Now, I'd like you to meet some sailors in lesser-known positions who are just as important to the Navy's mission.
Every sailor has to believe that they are the best, and we instill that in them.
Our quest to meet North Carolinians serving on the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower led us to some unexpected places, including the dentist's office.
This is a full functioning dental clinic. We have 3 dentists that see 5,000 sailors whenever our air wing's on board.
Leanne Kelly is a dental assistant on board the aircraft carrier. She says in addition to routine checkups, x-rays, and cleanings, the office also handles emergencies.
We see anything from fillings to getting like a crown and even oral surgery. We take teeth out here.
In addition to dental work, Kelly is also trained to respond to other kinds of emergencies on the ship.
Anytime there's a casualty on board, whether that be a fire or flooding or toxic gas, I help respond with that. And then I do medical coverage for those sailors fighting the fires.
While hospital corpsmen like Kelly may not have a direct role in launching aircraft, she emphasizes the significance of her contribution to the mission.
With our pilots, if they say have a toothache or pain, they can't fly. And if they can't fly, we're not fighting the big battle here.
Over in the ship's library, you'll find another North Carolina native in a unique role, religious program specialist Tyler Mabry.
Here in the Religious Ministries Department, we run the suicide prevention program, the command resiliency programs, and just make sure that sailors have a place they can go that's not work, just to relax a little bit, unwind after their shift.
Mabry, who is originally from Fayetteville, provides sailors access to a basic need not often highlighted, an opportunity to connect with their faith.
Making sure that stuff like the Buddhist books, prayer rugs are available, and helping facilitate religious services, Bible studies, and making sure they have the materials necessary for that.
The department also works to combat an issue members of the military struggle with more often than civilians: suicidal ideation.
We do things like run classes called Safe Talk, and what we do with that is we sit everyone down, we explain the signs of someone who might be thinking about suicide and who they can talk to and who to take them to.
During my time spent connecting with members of the U.S. Navy, both on base and on board the Eisenhower, one thing was made clear: every sailor plays an important role.
We are not the world's biggest Navy, but we are the world's best Navy. And that's what separates us from our adversaries around the world. And what is that secret weapon that separates us? It's our sailors. It's our sailors who are the absolute rock bottom, best trained sailors on this planet.
In Norfolk, Virginia, Matt Bennett, WWAY News.
And if you missed any of our Serving at Sea segments, you can find all of them on our website at WWAYTV3.com. And don't forget, Navy Week in Wilmington continues through Sunday. And I will say, if you did miss any of them this week, you need to check them out. Matt Bennett did a superb job putting these stories together.
I'm feeling emotional. There are so many important roles, and he did such a good job telling their stories.
And we're so grateful for all of their service. The captain all the way down to the hygienist. Everybody plays a very important role.
Incredible.
Yes.